Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Native Echo Podcast, where we make English simple and enjoyable. I'm Harper, and today it's just me. Julian is not here today, so it's going to be a quiet one, just you and me. And honestly, I think that's perfect for what I want to talk about today, because today's topic is a little personal. It's something I've been thinking about for a few days now. We're talking about disappointment, how to express it, how to handle it, and what English actually sounds like when someone is disappointed. Not angry, not sad exactly, just that specific feeling when something didn't go the way you hoped. Let me start with something that happened to me recently. I was really looking forward to a trip. I had planned it for weeks, I had the dates, I had the hotel, I had a little list of places I wanted to visit. And then, a few days before, the whole thing fell through. Something came up, and the trip had to be canceled. And I just sat there for a moment and I thought, I'm not angry at anyone. It's not anyone's fault. But I still felt something heavy, that quiet, deflated feeling, like a balloon that slowly loses air. That is disappointment. And most of us feel it more often than we talk about it. So today, I want to give you real English for that feeling. Because a lot of learners know how to say, I am happy or I am angry. But when it comes to disappointment, many people just say, I am sad and move on. And that's fine, but it doesn't really capture the full picture. Disappointment is its own emotion. It has its own vocabulary, its own tone, its own rhythm in conversation. So let's talk about it properly. The most basic and natural way to express disappointment in English is I'm disappointed. Simple, right? But here's the thing, nobody really says it in isolation. They say it with more. They say, I'm really disappointed about this. Or, I have to say, I'm a little disappointed. That phrase, I have to say, is important. When someone starts a sentence with, I have to say, or honestly, or to be honest, it means they're about to share something uncomfortable, something real. It softens the sentence, but it also signals that what's coming next is sincere. I have to say, I was really hoping this would work out. That's disappointment. Honest, clear, not aggressive. Another very natural phrase is, I was really looking forward to it. This one is so important because it shows that the disappointment comes from hope. You can't be disappointed by something you didn't care about. Disappointment always has a before. There was something you wanted, something you expected, something you imagined, and then the reality didn't match that picture. I was really looking forward to seeing you this weekend. I was looking forward to that meeting. I was so looking forward to this. You can use really or so to show how much you were hoping. The bigger the hope, the bigger the disappointment. And sometimes you want to express disappointment without being too direct. Maybe the situation is delicate. Maybe you don't want to make the other person feel bad. In those moments, English has some very gentle ways to express that feeling. One of them is, that's a shame. That's a shame is such a useful phrase. It expresses disappointment, but it doesn't blame anyone. It doesn't say you failed. It just says, this situation is unfortunate. Oh, you can't make it to the party? That's a shame. The event got canceled? Oh, that's a real shame. It's warm, it's soft, and it's completely natural. Another one is, that's a pity. Pity is a bit more formal than shame, but it works in the same way. What a pity. What a shame. These are small phrases with a lot of feeling inside them. They're the kind of thing you say when you sigh a little before speaking. And that sigh, by the way, is very much part of how disappointment sounds in real life. It's not a dramatic sigh. It's a quiet one. The kind that says, okay, this is not what I wanted, but I'm accepting it. Now let's talk about something a little more specific. Sometimes the disappointment is about a person. Someone let you down. And let down is actually the exact phrase I want to teach you. To let someone down means to disappoint them, to fail to meet their expectations. I felt a bit let down when they didn't show up. I don't want to let you down. She let the whole team down. It's a phrasal verb, and it's everywhere in English. And the noun form is also useful. It was a real letdown. That means the experience was disappointing. The movie was a letdown. The dinner was a total letdown. The event was a bit of a letdown. You can use it to describe any situation where reality didn't meet your expectations. And speaking of expectations, that's the word at the heart of disappointment. Expectation. When we expect something, we believe it will happen. We prepare for it mentally. We build a small version of the future in our head, and disappointment is what happens when that little mental future doesn't arrive. It didn't meet my expectations. That phrase is very common, especially in professional settings, or when you want to sound measured and calm. The product didn't meet my expectations. The service didn't quite meet my expectations. It's a polite way of saying, I was disappointed, without being emotional about it. But sometimes you are emotional, and that's completely okay. Sometimes you just feel it deeply, and you want to express that honestly. In those moments, you might say something like, I really had my heart set on this. I had my heart set on it. That means you wanted it very much. Your heart was already there, already attached to that outcome. And when you say, I had my heart set on it, people understand that this was not a small hope. It was a real one. I had my heart set on getting that job. I had my heart set on visiting that place. There's something vulnerable in that phrase. It shows that you opened yourself up to hoping, and then it didn't work out. And here's something I think is important to say. Expressing disappointment honestly in any language takes a little courage, because when you say, I was disappointed, you're admitting that you cared. You're admitting that you expected something. And sometimes people are afraid of that because they think it makes them look weak or too sensitive or too attached. But I think the opposite is true. Being able to name your feelings clearly, being able to say, this didn't go the way I hoped, and I'm disappointed. That's actually a form of honesty that most people respect deeply. So let me go through a few more expressions and give you some context for each one so you can hear how they work in real situations. I was hoping for a different outcome. This one is very calm and mature. You use it when you've processed the disappointment a little, and you can talk about it without emotion flooding the sentence. It's the kind of thing you say in a professional situation, or when you want to be honest but not dramatic. I was hoping for a different outcome, but I understand. It's clear, it's honest, and it closes the door gently. It didn't go as planned. This is neutral and very common. It doesn't put blame anywhere. It just acknowledges that there was a plan and reality had other ideas. I had a plan, it didn't go as planned. These things happen. You can add a small sigh before it, and it sounds completely natural. I can't pretend I'm not disappointed. This is a great phrase for moments when you want to be honest, but you also want to stay composed. You're not crying, you're not angry, but you're not going to pretend everything is fine either. I can't pretend I'm not a little disappointed about this. That little word, a little, softens it just enough. It says, I'm being real with you, but I'm also keeping it together. It's not what I was expecting. Simpler version of the expectation idea. Very natural in everyday conversation. Oh, it's not quite what I was expecting, but it's okay. That's the kind of thing you say when you ordered something at a restaurant and it looked different in the photo. Gentle disappointment. Low stakes, but still real. Now, there's one more thing I want to talk about, and it's how to respond when someone else is disappointed. Because this comes up all the time. A friend tells you their plan fell through. A colleague says the project didn't work out. Someone shares their disappointment with you. What do you say? The first thing is to acknowledge it. Don't immediately jump to solutions or silver linings. Just sit with them in it for a moment. You can say something like, I'm really sorry to hear that. Or, oh no, that's really disappointing. Or simply, I can imagine how frustrating that must be. That word frustrating is interesting. Frustration and disappointment often travel together. Frustration is what happens when you keep trying and things keep not working. Disappointment is that quiet moment when you realize the thing you wanted isn't coming. They're close, but they're different, and using them accurately shows real emotional vocabulary. After you acknowledge it, you can offer something small, not a big speech, not a lecture about how things happen for a reason, just something simple and warm. That's a tough one. I'm sorry it didn't work out. If there's anything I can do, just let me know. Simple, genuine, no pressure. And sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is nothing dramatic at all. Sometimes you just say, "That's a shame, truly," and you mean it, and that's enough. Okay, before I finish, I want to do a quick recap of the expressions we covered today. These are the ones I want you to remember and try to use this week. I'm really disappointed. Simple and honest. I was looking forward to it so much. Shows that the hope was real. That's a shame. Gentle and warm. No blame. That's a pity. A little more formal. Same idea. I felt a bit let down. Great phrasal verb for when a person didn't meet your expectations. It was a real letdown. Noun form. Describes a disappointing experience. I had my heart set on it. Emotional and vulnerable. Used when you really cared. I was hoping for a different outcome. Calm and mature. Good for professional situations. I can't pretend I'm not disappointed. Honest, but composed. It didn't go as planned. Neutral. No blame. Just reality. And for responding to others, I'm really sorry to hear that. I can imagine how frustrating that must be. These are real phrases that native speakers use every day. They're not fancy. They don't require a big vocabulary. They just require honesty and a little bit of courage. And I want to say one more thing before we close. Disappointment is one of the most human feelings there is. It means you cared enough to hope, and hoping is never something to be ashamed of. Even when things don't work out, the hope itself was worth something. That trip I had to cancel, I've rescheduled it for next month, and I'm honestly even more excited now than I was before. Thank you so much for spending this quiet time with me today. If this episode was useful to you, please subscribe to Native Echo Podcast and give it a like. It really means a lot, especially on the solo days when it's just me talking to you. Share this with a friend who's learning English, maybe someone who's going through a little disappointment of their own right now. And come back tomorrow. We have a new episode every day, and I promise Julian will be back soon. Until then, take care of yourself. Keep practicing your English. And remember, it's okay to feel disappointed. Just make sure you've the words for it. Bye, everyone.